So I was working on a very serious video about race in English women's football, but that has to wait because Mary Earps is back to doing what she does best, throwing a temper tantrum. Yeah, this video is gonna be short. Apparently, that moment at the Ballon d'Ors that we all thought was pretty funny actually sent her spiraling. So Earps has an autobiography coming out, and to promote it, she did 2 interviews with The Guardian, detailing her retirement from the national team. Instead of it being like, hey, I'm not the best option anymore, like most players step away from international duty, Earps decided to blame everybody but herself and the fact that, she's regressed. More specifically, she decided to call out Hannah Hampton and Serena Wiegman in a way that honestly just makes her look bad. Basically, Mary Earps says that Hannah Hampton was a locker room problem and should have not been called back to the national team. And for some reason, she didn't expect any blowback to this. Like, I'm not kidding. The second paragraph of the main article is already about Hannah Hampton, talking about the first camp after the 2022 Euros win, quote, "The emotional security that I felt within England was bolstered by the culture and values that had underpinned and contributed to our success. Non-collegiate behavior was not tolerated. We came back together to the news that Hannah Hampton had been dropped from the squad. Her behavior behind the scenes of the Euros had frequently risked derailing training sessions and team resources." Oh my god, are we really doing this again with Hampton? If you missed this saga, back in 2022 Hampton was dropped after the Euros for behavioral issues with England and Aston Villa. But it was very clear in retrospect that the reporting got blown way out of proportion. It just looked like a 21-year-old going through some personal stuff, pretty normal for someone that age. What's that, you say? A 21-year-old professional athlete is being disruptive at training? Fork found in kitchen, water is wet, etc., like groundbreaking. The coverage of the incident actually messed Hampton up so badly, she literally fell into depression. She has said the stories weren't true, and she almost quit football altogether because of the media circus. As always, fuck Susie Rack. Thankfully, Hampton didn't quit football. Hampton beat out Mary Earps for the England starting goalkeeper spot going into the summer's Euros, leading Earps to retire from international football even though the team still needed her. Which is wild, because Earps spends half of these interviews talking about how being a leader and a great teammate is important, yet she literally abandoned the team instead of helping mentor Hampton or being there as a backup. Heaven forbid she isn't the starter for 2 months. It becomes pretty clear that Earps still believes she's a better keeper than Hampton, and who are you kidding at this point? In the spring of 2023, Serena called me to bounce the idea of bringing Hannah back into the squad. Serena now routinely called me into leadership meetings and would take my opinion in consideration on team matters beyond goalkeeping. It doesn't make me feel comfortable, I said in response to the idea of a return, not needing to remind her of the disharmony that the squad had felt before. Again, this is a year later, and she keeps saying that they were worried about fixing something that wasn't broken, which is hilarious because England absolutely would not have won the 2025 Euros without Hampton. If Earps or Keating started, they would have lost based on how many incredible saves Hampton had. Honestly, the fact she didn't want Hampton back just points out the possibility that Earps didn't want competition for her spot, period. Which is crazy because Earps famously has been grateful to Serena Wiegman for giving her a second chance when Ellie Roebuck was solidified England starter. Now Hampton can't get a second chance, but you can? Like, what do you have against this poor girl? What did she do to you that you can't get over? Yeah, it seems like everybody else has moved on. Earps then talks about the 2024 camp where Wiegman told her she wanted to give another keeper experience. That keeper, of course, was Hampton. Earps' response, you ask? I don't get it. It's a qualifier match, and bad behavior is being rewarded. What? Now this felt unjust. My eyes welled with tears. It was a choice that went against my core values. I couldn't get my head around it because when my values were compromised, the strain always felt heavy enough to keep me up at night. When this kind of decision compromised my football, I was sleepless. You know what, maybe just be a better goalkeeper? I don't know. Bad behaviors being rewarded is actually insane. Earps then details the moment we have all been waiting for, when Serena Wiegman tells her Hampton will be the number 1 at the Euros. Why she's leaking this herself? I don't know. Then came the words I'd waited over 12 months to hear. I've decided Hannah is the number 1 for now. Wait, if she's known for a while the whole year that Wiegman wanted Hampton over her, why didn't Earps, communicate with Serena Wiegman about that she would retire on the spot if that happened? She's a little bit ahead of you, Serena continued. It's nothing you've done wrong. Earps then said, I just think you could have been more direct and honest from the jump. Wiegman says that they had just made that decision, which Earps doesn't believe, and tells Serena Wiegman that she is retiring. It doesn't align with my morals and values to continue, she said. I'd like to graciously step aside. I'd rather Kiara get the experience I've had my time in the sun. Of course, referring to Kiara Keating, who has had 0 caps for England. So basically, Earps was okay being replaced as long as it was anybody but Hampton. It's wild how determined she is to derail the career of a 24-year-old who clearly matured and earned trust from Emma Hayes and Sonia Bompastor. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. Like, she was so bitter about it being Hampton that she decided to make the whole situation worse for everybody, with her sudden retirement announcing, and she did not step aside graciously. In the other Guardian article titled "Mary Earps said she told Wiegman she was rewarding Hampton's bad behavior," Earps goes on to say of Hampton, quote, "I think we had different ideas of what being a teammate should be. I think there was a mismatch, a misalignment of values." And when asked to elaborate on what the disruptive behavior was that we keep hearing, Earps said, "I don't want to go into the specifics because it's not my place. She's a very good goalkeeper and I've tried to draw a line under all that. I have messaged her privately to say, look, no bad blood." What? No bad blood? For the 2 things. First, no bad blood, but you're dragging her very publicly? Sure. I won't get specific, but let me imply that she was a problem again to a national newspaper. Got it. Second, nobody has ever clarified what the disruptive behavior was. Like, Earps says it wasn't her place, and when Hampton was dropped in 2022, Serena Wiegman said of it, quote, "She has to do something personal that I would not like to comment on." Which again, all points to a personal issue that Hampton had, and obviously overcame because Serena Wiegman called her back up. So what exactly is the big terrible attitude problem? Because Hampton seems like a genuinely kind person who fought hard for her career. It just seems like Earps hated Hampton and made it all about herself, which, we've kind of seen before. Her Manchester United exit, similar thing. Kick up dust, storm off, leave others to deal with the fallout. Hell, someone even predicted exactly what would happen on Twitter because, again, this is a common pattern for her. She craves attention. Like, Hampton earned that #1 spot and needed support from her teammates more than ever when it happened. Yet Earps overshadowed it with the most dramatic retirement possible, made Hannah Hampton out to be a villain right then and there. She couldn't accept Hampton was a better keeper than her. And the worst part about all this is that Hampton has been so appreciative of Earps in the media, and yet she's met with whatever the hell Earps is doing right now. Like, I genuinely hope she's okay. Earps talks endlessly about culture and values and being a good teammate, but is acting like a child at the big age of 32. Like, oh my god, do you want the attention that badly? Mind you, this came out the night before Hampton was set to play a game against London City. After the 2-0 win, Chelsea coach Sonia Bompastor did not mince words, slamming Earps and of course backing her player. With what I read in terms of the comments coming from Mary Earps, it's not acceptable to not show respect to your teammates or managers. We are talking about Hannah, but I also want to raise my voice for Serena. If you look at what Hannah said in her previous comments about Mary Earps, then what Mary is saying about her now, one of them is class, and Hannah is the class one. Damn. I mean, you know what? The English women's national team.
You're not.
We will always have this moment. Nothing but love for my Yashin winner and honestly player of the Euros. Just some final thoughts. If Hampton did do something so egregious in training, we would know. The English media finds out everything. Like, we already know everything to know about that goalkeeper for Liverpool. Also, as I will explore more in my next video, England has a history of isolating players before when they don't fit a perfect mold. So I wouldn't put too much stock in who the English women's national team is friends with on their team and not, because they typically isolate people for no reason. So I only hold the report from Susie Rack back from 2022, especially when she said Hampton was unlikely to play for Wiegman ever again. Honestly, maybe Mary Earps was a source. And of course, Earps has a right to tell her side of the story. Hearing from a top goalkeeper losing their starting job is actually pretty interesting and very vulnerable. But with Earps, it's already off the back of the fact she retired once, she lost a spot, instead of being there as a teammate. And it seems like she just can't get over what Hampton did when she was 21 3 years ago. Unlike everyone else, and tried to keep her off the national team altogether, which all points to the possibility she didn't want to jeopardize her own starting spot. Okay, and also another late thought, Earps did in fact respond to the backlash on social media where, she did not make things really better. She was complaining that people are pulling out sentences out of context from her book, but they are the paragraphs she and her team chose to share with The Guardian herself to promote her book. She also said that the media is pitting women against each other, which, she quite literally is going after Hannah Hampton, implying that she was a problem that should have not been allowed back in the national team. Earps says she also said some positive things, but why didn't you share those excerpts? Like, we're just going off what you chose to leak yourself. Anyways,